Yeah, here's part two.
So, Chris, where does Team Kennedy go from here?
Well, Tim Kennedy, as far as his performance go, he didn't clinch a lot. I'm used to seeing him a little more aggressive. He didn't seem like the usual Tim Kennedy in this fight. I do feel there's a lot of fights for him though. If he wants to fight Scott Smith, Benji Reddick, Joey V. Senor, kind of like the middle tier of the division, that'd be cool. I think those would provide a lot of fun fights for him. He could fight someone like Luke Rockhold, be very interesting. Since Kennedy's had his title shot now, it's really hard to still put him in that prospect list. And it's obvious that he's out of the Challenger Series, so that'd be pretty interesting too. Um, if he fights Matt Lindland, I think that'd be pretty cool too. He can also fight Jason Mayhem Miller. I think they both had a win against each other. So, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. Mayhem versus Kennedy, very fun fight. So there were definitely no shortages of fights for Tim Kennedy, actually.
Okay. Where does KJ News go for here? Is he ready for a title shot against Gilbert Melendez?
Well, the thing with KJ Noons that you have to take from his performance is his stand up looked really good. His countering looked is really sharp. I mean, the two hooks that finally dropped George Gurgel in the second round were beautiful. I mean, they were just great. There's a lot of talk with KJ Noons right now, whether he's like a dirty fighter or whatnot. I know in the first round that after the bell he did hit and dropped Gurgel. I do feel that that one's a little more justified personally, just because Gurgel was punching. Obviously, that Noons, being a boxer, probably had just a natural instinct to counterpunch. I mean, it was in the midst of fire. I don't think hearing the bell was in him, in his vision during that time. I mean, he's getting attacked. I know he did that knee at the very end of the fight. That was pretty dirty, actually. It was definitely it was one of those things where it definitely looked like it was intentional too. So I'm glad it just grazed Gurgel, but like, it's definitely putting like this mark of a dirty fighter with him. I can't really excuse it too much, to be perfectly honest. I'll give him a pass this time. We'll see how his next fight goes. But hopefully, I don't want to see that type of behavior or attitude from Nunes again, to be honest. As far as when Melendez goes, I think it'll be a good fight. I know going from Gurgel to Melendez is a pretty big jump. Obviously, there's someone like Josh Thompson that Nunes could fight. But the thing is, I don't want to see two title contenders kind of, knocking one of them out of contention. Obviously, there's the rubber match between Thompson and Melendez, which is really interesting. And Nunes, he's just a fresh face in the division, and in the lightweight division of Strikeforce. So it's very refreshing to see, something like a KJ Nunes versus Gilbert Melendez outside of the UFC. A really good lightweight fight outside of the UFC. Personally, I'd like to see it. KJ Nunes, I don't know if he'll be able to stuff the takedowns of Melendez, but definitely the stand-up's definitely something he's going to have to watch out for. Cardio may be an issue for Nunes as well, but nonetheless, I think it'll be a really good fight. Nunes versus Melendez, definitely something I like to see. There is buzz coming from KJ Nunes. I mean, he's looked pretty good. He fought Connor Hune before he fought Gurgel. Looked good too, I like that he uses a jab a lot of times. His countering is really crisp. So I think he definitely provides some sort of challenge to Melendez, at least. So that's the thing, yeah. I would personally like to see KJ Nunes versus Gilbert Melendez.
Where does George Gurgel go from here?
Now let me go with the George Gurgel rant I hate that he doesn't use his jiu-jitsu. I don't know what he's thinking by striking. I don't. He's not a technical striker. He doesn't have a lot of power. His chin's pretty good, but then against a guy like KJ Noons, you know, Noons knows how to throw those counter hooks. You know, I mean the difference in striking was so apparent. It was like a professional boxer versus an amateur kickboxer. You know what I mean? It just one of those things. I think KJ was actually throwing a kick or two, but like more or less, it just seemed like a professional versus an amateur. And the thing with Gurgel, I mean, he lost to Billy Evangelista before this, and then he just lost to KJ Noons. Strikeforce will most likely keep him. I just put him in some other fun fights. Gurgel's becoming just, there's usual Gurgel cliches. Before a fight happens, he's going to say something like, oh, I'm going to go back to my jiu-jitsu. I'm going to start taking people down. Fight happens, he does bad kickboxing. It's really dumb. He gives this excuse about, like, bad knees. Hey, bro, I just saw you throw head kicks. I just saw you throw knees. Don't tell me you have bad knees and you're throwing these type of strikes that require your knees, Sorry, I don't believe your knee story. I really don't, You're kicking a lot for a guy with bad knees. You know what I mean? Go for I wish he'd go for more takedowns. Maybe his jiu-jitsu for MMA is really bad. I don't know. I know he did get submitted by Cole Miller. But nonetheless, this isn't working. It's not working. And his fights can be fun, but the fact of the matter is, it's too much of the same thing to the point where it's not that fun anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, Gurgel fight. Let's see the sloppy kickboxing. Yeah, it's fast paced. But like, for him to change it up would actually be more interesting than just keeping up with his norm. Once again, just give him someone lower in the division. See if he can have more sloppy kickboxing fights. He shouldn't be fighting anyone too high up the division. There's not many people he should be fighting. Maybe he can fight like Roger. I think Roger Bowling, who's a prospect in Strikeforce. I think he's a lightweight. Maybe fight him or something. He'd be a guy that you can give the rub to a prospect, I guess. That'd be pretty interesting too.
Okay. Where does Bobby Lashley go for here, and what can you take from his performance?
Bobby Lashley, like Scott Kruger said, needs some soul searching. He came off extremely one-dimensional. I was impressed with his guard passing. I mean, he passed the side really quickly. He just doesn't know what to, like, all he knows is ground and pound, but it's not the type of ground and pound that'll finish people, and with his muscle mass, it's just going to tire him out. I mean, if he's going to go the grappling route, cool. He does seem to have some propensity for the ground. I don't know anything about his striking. The guy should strike more when given the chance, He doesn't even give himself that chance, and that's the thing. As far as where he goes, I mean, the fight with Dave Bautista sounds more and more tempting by the day, to be perfectly honest. I mean, he just lost to Chad Griggs. Who's Chad Griggs? You know what I mean? That's the thing. His wrestling's decent. He has a good. He's really powerful, but he just has so much muscle. I mean, he doesn't need that much muscle. It's really that simple. He just doesn't need to be that big for MMA. It's not helpful muscle. That's the thing. My guess is that he thought, oh, I've taken down guys like Bob Sapp, Wes Sims, whoever, and just pounded them out. Took them down, pounded them out. Maybe I can do that to Griggs. Nope. Didn't happen. It's there's gonna have different fighters that aren't gonna play that game. You know what I mean? He didn't really pass to Mount. That one time, I will get. The time he did get to Mount, I mean that was a pretty crappy stand up. The ref surely, I mean that was terrible. I mean there's some people that say like, oh he's laying on him from Mount. He's in Mount. Come on, he's in Mount. He gets to stand up from Mount. That's just terrible. Even if he wasn't very active, doing jujitsu, mount a guy, put your chest to the guy's face. It's tiring. It will weaken you. To say you're just laying on the guy is pretty uneducated. I've done it to people. I've had it done. This guy's done it to me. And he's much bigger than me. It tires you out. There is some substance to doing that in mount, not in guard, because you can't put your full weight on the guy's face. You can't really do too much chest to chest. Well, you can do chest to chest, but you can't put your weight like right on their face and just on their whole body. But on mount, you can. That's the thing. That's why I thought it was a terrible stand up. Just a terrible stand up. Like I said, as far as where he goes next, I mean, he can crush more Lashley can crush more cans. But right now, the fight with Dave Bautista seems like the best bet for him right now, to be perfectly honest. Yep. So, just go to part 3 after the jump.